good morning, grade 1 students. Good morning and happy 2021. All right, so for today, we will be having our new lesson, okay, our new topic because it's a new year. So, new topic, new lesson for today. So, I hope you're ready to learn and to study our computer one subject. All right, so allow me to share my PowerPoint presentation with all of you. All right. Okay, for a while. There you go. Okay, so for today, we will have, as I have mentioned, we will be having or we will be discussing a new lesson or a new topic. Okay, so once again, this is Teacher Jane, your Computer One teacher subject. And welcome to your Computer One class. All right, so before we start, I hope that every one of you is present and that every one of you is listening to this or viewing this topic that your teacher Jen has presented. All right, so let's have a recall first. Yeah, so probably most of you did enjoy their vacation, so probably you've already forgot this topic of ours that we had discussed last year. So let's have a recall first. Okay, let's have a recap. So last year we've discussed all about the different types of computer. What else? All right, so we also discussed about the different uses of computers. And we also discussed about the different importance of computers yan. And also the different information processing cycle yan. So I hope that you haven't forgotten all about those things that we did discuss last time. All right, so let's proceed with our discussion for today. So for this day, we will have the following as our objectives. All right, so we will be able to identify and classify the different elements of a computer system. Ano nga ba ang, what do we mean when we say elements of a computer system? All right, so after that, we will give an example of each of the different classification, and then we are going to name and explain further the different functions of those elements of computers, such as the software, hardware, and the so-called peopleware. And then after that, I hope that every one of you will have the value of courage in knowing how to use the different elements of a computer system. So let's proceed with our topic. All right. So a computer should have three different elements. Okay, so for it to be able to function, the three elements must be present. Ayan, I've used the word must. Okay, so the computer should have a hardware, as you can see on the screen, a software, and a peopleware. And for it to be able to function. All right, so later on we will be discussing each of these elements. All right, so again, don't forget it should have a hardware, software, and peopleware. All right, so let's start with hardware. Ayan, so as you can see on the screen, hardware, these are all the parts that you can physically touch. Just like this. I am touching the mouse. So a mouse of your computer is an example of a hardware. All right. So there are different other types of a computer hardware. Ayan. So for sure, you're already familiar with the speaker. Ayan. So as you can see, I'm using a headset. So this is also an example of hardware because you can see it and every one of us can see it and we can also touch it. All right. So speaker, monitor, keyboard, mouse. All right. So last year or last quarter, we've discussed about this one. We've discussed about the so-called system unit, ayan, or the so-called CPU as well. All right, and then the other types of a computer hardware, you can see it on your screen. Yeah, so we have the main board, the CPU, the RAM, the VGA card, the sound card, hard disk, reader all-in-one, and the case. Ayan. So all of that we will be discussing as we have our continuous discussion with regards to the different computer hardware. Ayan. So we also have the so-called peripheral components. When we say peripheral, it means auxiliary or an additional. Ayan. So we have additional hardware components. Ayan. So probably some of you are familiar with this. For sure, you've already seen a projection machine or yung tinatawag ng mga LCD. Ayan. So I'm sure some of you have also seen the scanner, a digital camera, and of course, for sure, you're very familiar with the printer. Ayan. And then meron din sa inyo for sure, yung iba sa inyo merong mga digicom or webcam. And then we also have the so-called router or yung mga switches. Ayan. So we use this for our internet connectivity. Ayan. And of course, para sa mga game lover, we also have the so-called joystick or gamepad. Ayan. So we will have a thorough discussion of this when we have a discussion with regards to the different types of input. And so in our future discussion, we will be discussing that. All right, so let's proceed. We also have, ayan, so di ba kanina binanggit ko, I've mentioned that we need three elements. The first one is the hardware. So medyo pinadaanan na natin what is hardware. Again, hardware, all those parts of a computer that you can see and that you can touch. Ayan. And then the other one is the so-called software. Ayan. So ano ba yung pag sinabing software? From the word itself, soft, malambot ba to? All right. So these are a set of instructions for computer to perform specific operations. Ayan. So the last but not the least is what we call the peopleware. Ayan. So tulad nyo ngayon na nanonood using a computer or using a cell phone. Ayan, so we are all part of this so-called peopleware. Sometimes this is also called userware. Ayan, and marami pang ibang tawag dyan. But for the meantime, for the time being, let me share with you how it is called. It's called peopleware. Ayan. So from the word itself, people. People who uses computers from all walks of life. Okay, so people refers to the role people play in technology and the development of hardware or software. Ayan. So later, we will be discussing that as well. Okay, so again, let's recall what are the three elements of the computer system. Okay, very good. You've guessed it right. All right, so we have the software, the hardware, and the peopleware. All right. Okay, so this time, I want you to classify the following pictures as the software, hardware, or peopleware. I'm going to give you 2 seconds to do so. Ayan. So you're just going to tell, if it's a software, you're going to tell S, hardware, H, and for peopleware, P. All right. So, on your mind lang, ano po? All right. So let's start. Okay. All right. So for those of you who answered peopleware, you're correct. How about this one? All right. Very good. So this one is an example of a hardware. All right. How about this one? Are you familiar with AVG or also called an antivirus guard? All right. So this is an example of a software. How about this one? Yeah. And I've shown this to you earlier. I've mentioned that this is a hardware. You've guessed it right. How about this one? All right, so probably you're not familiar with this, but these are the software. Ayan. So these are the different programs that we install in our computer so that you can use your computer. Ayan. So later we will be discussing ano tong tinatawag na mga Microsoft Offices. All right. How about this one? All right, so you've guessed it right. It's a peopleware. Ayan. It's a student. Okay, how about this one? All right, so this is a hardware because it's a printer, okay? So it's something that you can feel and touch. All right, so by now I know you've guessed this one right. It's a software, yeah, and because you cannot touch this one, okay? It's a program that is already installed in our computer for it to function properly. Ayan. How about this one? Mm-hmm. All right, very good. So this one is a headset and it's a hardware. Ayan. So meron pa ba? All right, so VLC. All right, so it is something that we use to play videos. Ayan. All right, very good. So it's a software. Ayan. So how about this one? All right, so it's a monitor and it's a hardware. Ayan. So for sure, hindi na kayo dito magkakamali. Yes, it's a software. All right, so there you go. Okay, so moving on. Ayan, so let's move on with the peopleware. All right, peopleware refers to the work done by people in the computer industry. Okay, so together with the software and the hardware, peopleware completes the three attributes of the highly dynamic computer technology. Ayan, so tulad nung na-mention ko kanina, you need to have a hardware, a software, and peopleware, or people, or those people who's going to manipulate the computer for it to function. All right. So let's start with some of the peopleware that I have that I'm going to share here with you. All right, so let's start with the computer engineer. Ayan. So computer engineers are commonly engaged in software design and application to address the needs of a particular industry or sector. A computer engineer are primarily responsible for the update in the software as well as providing additional customization of current software to ensure the system's functionality. Ayan. So when we say customization, ito yung we customize or we upgrade. Kumbaga sa game, nagle-level up siya. Kumbaga sa grades nyo, nagle-level up, nag-i-increase, nababago, pinapaganda palalo. Alright? So in addition to this, the field of robotics need the expertise of a computer engineer to improve its design and function proficiently. Alright? So that is the work of a computer engineer. Again, so yung mga related sa mga robotics, yan, sa engineer yan. Ayan. So these are some of the examples ng mga robots. All right. Moving on, let's have the software engineer. Ayan, pag sinabi naman mga software engineer, from the word software, di ba kanina we've mentioned that software refers to different programs of a computer. Ayan, so software engineer is primarily responsible for the design and development of the software of computers. Yan, so as you can see on the screen, merong mga JS, PHP, CSS3, HTML. Yan, so yun yung mga language ng mga software engineer, all right, for them to be able to create a program so that the peopleware or userware can use your the computer itself. All right. So the software engineer are responsible for the design and the development as well as its testing and evaluation. Of course, they need to check, they need to test, and of course, after testing, they need to evaluate whether it's functioning well or not. Ano po? So they usually work on computer chips to ensure that it is functioning well and suited to the company's needs. Ayan. All right, so the next one is the what we call website designer. Ayan. Pag sinabi namang website designer are engaged in the construction of the navigation scheme of a website. Their job also includes putting together online content and applications in the internet. They also work on the web page layout as well as the strategic placement of the useful and practical information about the website. At times, they are also responsible for the conceptual design and branding. Ayan. So if you are familiar with Facebook, ayan, so for sure, at your age, kahit ganyan pa lang kayo kabata, for sure, you are familiar with the social media, yung mga Facebook, yan, nakikita nyo yung mga pictures ng inyong mga relatives, ng inyong mga families and friends, especially nitong mga nakaraang holiday seasons, ayan. So, all those persons involved in the development of the design ng mga nakikita nyo dyan ay gawa yan ng mga tinatawag na website designer, alright? Or when you open your computer, your browser, yung mga Google nyo or Google Chrome or Safari, if you're using an Apple or an Apple iPad, ayan. So, yung unang magpa-pop in sa screen nyo, ang nagde-develop yan or nagde-design yan ay none other than the website designer, alright? Moving on, of course, your computers will not function well if there's something wrong with it. Ayan. And sinong tatawagin natin? Who we gonna call? Ayan. We're going to call the so-called computer technicians. Ayan. So kung nakikita niyo sa mga screens niyo, sila yung mga nagkukutingting or nagbubutingting or they are the ones who fixed your broken computers. Ayan. So syempre, you do not have to buy a new one if there's still a possibility of repairing your old computer set. Ayan, o kaya naman yung mga cell phones or yung mga gadgets or yung mga iPads, alright? So computer technicians, these technicians are in charge with the repair and maintenance of computers and its servers. They also build or configure new hardware as well as installing and bringing up to date the software. Ayan, so as I've mentioned kanina, you don't have to buy a new one if ang kailangan nyo lang naman is to update the software. Ayan, so kailangan nyo lang pataasin yung kanyang let's say, yung kanyang RAM o yung kanyang memory. Ayan. So, you just have to call computer technicians. Alright? So, they are also tasked with the creation and maintenance of computer networks. Sila din yung na responsible for having for the possibility of having this so-called internet connectivity. Ayan. So, di ba, nakakapag-usap tayo online during our online classes or kaya it makes this video possible para mapanood nyo. Yan. So, sila din yung sila din yung nag-fix nun or nag-aayos nun, yung mga tinatawag na computer technician. Ayan. So, I hope Clear sa ating lahat ng yan? All right, so let's have a quick review. All right, so you're going to tell me, okay, on your mind again as well. Ayan. So they are in charge with the repair and maintenance of computers and its servers. All right, you're very good. They are called the computer technicians. Ayan. How about this one? If you say computer engineer, you're correct. All right, thumbs up for that. How about this one? Their work is primarily responsible for the design and development of the software of the computers, as well as its testing and evaluation. All right, very good. If you say software engineer, you're correct. Thumbs up for that. All right, how about this one? Their job is, or includes rather, putting together online content and applications in the internet. All right, if you answer website designer, you are correct. All right, how about this one? All right, we're done na pala. All right, so I hope you remember all those peopleware that I have shared. Ano nga ulit? Computer engineer, computer software, website designer, and computer technicians. Ayan, so apat lang. So you can think of as many as you can, and probably by our next meeting, you can share it with Teacher Jane. All right? Okay, so software. All right. So software, as I've mentioned, is a set of instruction for computer to perform specific operations. Ayan. So your computer, yan, yung inyong mga monitor will basically be just a monitor if there's no installed software in it. Okay? Your cell phone will just be basically a cell phone if there's no software or program installed in it. In other words, kailangan ng software or yung program set inside your computer or inside your gadget so that it will function and that you can use it as a people where you will be able to use it. All right? So there are two types of software. One is what we call the system software and the other one is what we call the application software. So ano nga bang difference ng dalawa? Let's check. All right, so system software is used to start and run computer systems and networks. This include operating system. All right, again, it is used to start and run computer system and network. This includes operating system. Ayan, so from the given description, it is used to start. Ibig sabihin, when we buy things like like computers or when we buy our cell phones, kailangan may naka-install na doon na system software or yung operating system for it to be able to run and start. All right? So examples of those are the Microsoft Windows XP. Ayan. So when you open your computer, kailangan may makikita kayong ganun na program. All right? So for it to be able to start. When you open your cell phone, familiar ba kayo dyan? May makikita ba kayong parang ganyang robot? It's called Android. All right? So it's a software for cell phones. All right. Or tablets. Yan. Kapag naman medyo yamanin, yan, or edge on top of the, kumbaga, medyo mahal ang inyong gadget, we have this so-called Apple. Ayan. Okay? Now, application software naman is a program or group of programs designed for end users. Okay? So examples of an application include a word processor, a spreadsheet, an accounting application, a web browser, an email client, a media player, a file viewer, simulator, a console game, or a photo editor. Ayan. Again, application software or application for short is a program or group of programs designed for end users. Sino ba yung mga tinatawag na end users? Yung mga end users tayo yun, yung mga gumagamit ng computers, alright, or nung gumagamit ng gadgets. Now, para clear sa inyo, ang mga application software, these are the software that we upload in our computer or in our cell phones. Okay? Let's say si cell phone, nung binili nyo yan, mayroon na siyang system software or operating software. Ano po? Let's say, kunwari, yun ay Android. Ayan. Now, yung loob ng inyong mga cellphones or computers, wala pa yung mga application software unless may provide itong manufacturer. Now, it's up to you end users, kayong mga gumagamit, kung ano-anong mga application software ang gusto nyong i-download. Okay? Or i-download sa inyong mga gadgets. Let's say, ako, as a teacher, I really need or badly need the Microsoft Office. Ayan. So, ito yung para magamit ko yung PowerPoint, para magawa ko 'to o kaya naman ito para gawa ako ng mga lesson plans, so I need documents, ayan. O kaya naman para so that I will be able to do some PDF files, ayan. So I need those types of application software. Kaya yun yung aking mga ida-download, alright? So it depends on the end users. Again, yung mga end users, ito yung mga gumagamit. Ano po, just like me, just like you as a student, alright? So here are some examples of application software that you can find in a mobile device. Ayan. So kung napapansin nyo, ito, familiar ba kayo dyan? Yan yung sa phone para makatawag kayo. Ayan. Siyempre, Yahoo Mail. Ayan. So if ever needed nyo ng applications with regards to mail, ayan. So meron po niya. And a lot. Alright. So may TV din dito. Alright. So again, if you open your cell phone, you can see different icons. Alright. Yung mga ganyan mga pictures. Yun yung mga tinatawag na application software. Alright? I hope that's clear. Ayan. So, ito naman yung ibang examples pa na application software when it comes naman to computers. Alright? So, as you can see, I guess the owner of this one is a child kasi more on kids. Pambata yung kanyang mga application. Alright. Ayan. Ito yung sinasabi kong office. Alright. So, I need this one for me to be able to do my work, to do my job. Ayan. So, meron siyang Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Office, and Microsoft PowerPoint or Outlook. Ayan. So, let's recall. What are the two types of computer software again? All right, very good. We have the system software and the application software. All right. Can you tell or classify the following pictures as to operating software or application software? Let's check. Picture number 1. All right, so this is an example of an operating software. Ayan, so when you purchase or when you buy your computer, kasama na ito doon. All right, next. All right, very good. So this is an application software. Ayan, ito yung i-upload mo pa lang sa iyong computer. All right, if ever you need Microsoft Office. How about this one? Very good. So this is an example of an operating software. How about this one? Okay, very good. An example of operating system for an Apple user. Ayan. How about this? Ayan. So if you're a game lover, familiar kayo dito, ito ba yung Candy Crusher ba to? Yan. So this is an application software as well. Ayan. So that's the end of our lecture for this day. Ayan. So I hope na you've learned something from it. Okay. So later, I will be giving you or I will be sending you the link, all right, for the synchronous activities, for some of the activities that you can do in your home, ayan, for additional informations, ayan. So I hope you've learned a lot from Teacher Jane. So once again, this is Teacher Jane, your Computer 1 subject teacher, saying bye for now. Bye.